Oh,
So
yes.
sorry
Yes.
that the internet is not, video is not really matching with the voices. And so if you're watching on YouTube, it's probably going to drive you nuts. So
Yes.
just don't watch but listen, right? Is
Yes.
that what we're saying? Okay. So
Exactly
my
right.
weather is a little interesting right now. How's your weather down south?
So it's supposed to be hitting like at 10. That's like what they were like, oh, it's
Mhm.
going to be tonight. Oh, it's going to be tonight. But now it's like, oh, it's in the morning. It came
Yeah.
earlier. But I'm not seeing anything outside. Wesley texted and said like, oh, the
Okay.
radar's showing it's here, but we're not seeing anything yet.
It's not. It is here. So
Yeah.
it might get to you in like an hour or two. I don't know. But yeah,
Yeah.
we were the same way. It was supposed to hit at like 4 a.m. And then I woke up and I'm like, oh, are we not getting anything? And Mark was like, yeah, now they're saying 9, 10, whatever. Yeah. So,
Wow.
but I have to tell you about this alert that I got last night from our neighborhood.
Like, what do you like a neighborhood group text or?
Yeah, my worst nightmare. No, we do have like a Facebook group, but this is on, I can't even remember. It's like my neighborhood or something like
Oh.
that I accidentally signed up for a long time ago.
Yeah.
And you get alerts for things in a certain radius. I think it's how it is. But because I live in such a rural community, I don't get notifications very often at all. And so it always surprises me when something pops up. But
Oh.
last night, or if it pops up, it's like I lost a dog, but it's like,
Welcome to the Chatline podcast. I'm Emily.
and I'm Missy.
From the latest in pop culture and beauty trends to celebrity gossip or our own experiences, no topic is off limit. So grab a drink, pull up a seat, and let's chat like it's a group text you can't put on silent.
Yes. And let me tell you, I don't know if you know this about me. I'm not a group chat person. So
Well, I didn't
if
know
I'm
that.
not putting something on silent, yeah. I know it's different with the family group, but yeah. We were not going to talk about this, but it's hilarious that all of a sudden this came up. I was in a massive group text the other day and we were supposed to like tell people about ourselves and one of those kind of things because we were welcoming people into the group.
Yeah.
And Mark, my husband, was with me and I was like, oh, well, what do I do? You know, what do I talk about? What do I admit to? Kind of a
Right.
thing, because it was like your favorite TV shows and things like that. And he was like, I'm Melissa and I'm such and such and I love this and I hate group text. And it was like, but it was true. So anyway, we need to talk about our internet, right? 15 miles from me. So I'm like, I can't help you,
Yeah.
Anyway, and sometimes they're only a few miles away. Anyway, I digress.
My
So
stomach
last
is
night,
growling.
I couldn't hear it. That's funny.
Yeah, I'm hearing it.
That's hilarious. I was going to
Yeah.
say, do you need a little snack? You know me, I want to come and feed you now. I'm
Yeah.
like, what do you need? I'll bring it right to you. It'd be a little bit of a drive today. Okay, so I get this alert that says there has been a theft.
What?
Like 2 streets over from us, like in our actual neighborhood.
What?
And yes. And so even though we have Ring cameras on all of our doors, and, we live in a fantastic neighborhood as far as, like crime goes. I don't even think about crime. People always are walking their dogs and all of this.
Yeah.
And I was like, Mark, can you find out what it is? Like, was it an outdoor theft? Did somebody actually break in their house? Like, what happened?
Yeah.
And Mark's like, I don't know. So all night, I'm like freaking out, thinking I'm hearing things and all of this. And nobody is outside in rural Kentucky when it's 15 degrees outside.
That's the perfect time to
But
strike.
I was panicking. Holy, Anyway, but it got me thinking. I was like, why am I so scared like this? Because again, we have the Ring cameras. We have our concealed carries. We have, guns in our home, this kind of thing. Like we are responsible gun owners. And I was reminded of a situation that happened to me when I was in kindergarten.
Oh,
have I ever told you this story?
No, this is not the story that I thought you were going to say when you said it reminded me of something.
Oh, okay.
So you need to share that one in a moment.
Okay. Okay. I'll let you
Yeah.
lead that because I'm not exactly sure which one. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So when I was in kindergarten, my mom came and got me at school because when you were in kindergarten, it was like a half day. And so she came to get me at lunch, and we got home and we came down to the current house that I live in. That's a long story about how
Yeah.
I'm in my childhood home right now. But the office where you guys, when you come inside when you're visiting, that door was busted open.
What?
And so what do you think me and my mom did? What do you think?
If I know you guys, I think you went rushing in the house to see who was there.
Well, I mean, we weren't rushing in there, but it was like she was very scared. But yeah,
Mhm.
you're right on the money. She was very scared to have me by the hand. And we were
Yeah.
walking in the house to make sure that no one was there. And
When
I remember like coming up to the upstairs closet and like opening the hall closet, like to make sure that somebody was not still in the house
as a
as a
kindergartner.
5-year-old.
Yeah.
And so I was like, well, I guess it's okay that I have this irrational fear of death because of that long lost memory. But anyway, so I was up, and even though we were perfectly safe, I was awake half the night, like just thinking of all these things.
So did you ever find out what had happened or what was stolen?
Currently, and no. And like I've been on the Facebook group, nobody's talking about it on the Facebook group. So I don't know if that particular neighbor isn't in the group or what. I'm about to go
Huh.
knock on a door, but I don't want to get killed because they might think I'll come back to rob them. It's been an eventful few hours.
Going back to like when you were in kindergarten with your mom, did you guys find anything? Like, why was the door busted open? Was anyone there? Was anything taken? What had happened there?
Oh, yes. Our whole house had been robbed. Yes. Every piece of clothing was pulled out of all of the drawers, all of my dad's like equipment from the garage, even the piggy banks that my sister and I had like been saving to go to Disney World, like all of that was taken. Like
Oh my gosh.
everything was taken. No, it was a real robbery, and we are very blessed that we didn't come in on them people trying to
Yeah.
get stuff. Yeah.
So, there was a very rational fear of, theft and robbery. That's crazy. Does Wesley
Yeah.
know that? Has he ever heard that story?
I'm sure he has. He may have forgotten. I mean, I'm assuming he has. But like when we were in Panama City talking, and he hadn't heard some family stories. So I mean, sometimes I just assume that he's heard things or knows things that maybe you were gonna ask me. You thought I was gonna say a story.
Oh, yes. I thought you were going to talk about when you guys lived on, is it Gowdy Street? Is that what it's called? And then that whole situation.
Yeah, I almost went into that, and I thought, well, that'd be too many stories. Do you want me to tell that now, or do you want us to wait for
No,
another?
you need to tell that story because I think that's so crazy, and it's very evident what happened. You can, I don't want to scare you, but I think it's very clear what happened.
Yes, for sure. And I will tell you, I was thinking about this too. I'm either like one of those people that has all the fear or almost no fear. Like for some reason, I can't get to this happy medium of just having some common sense about what I should be aware of versus not. Like it's either one extreme or the other. And I think this is the other extreme, honestly, to some degree. Yeah, we used to live at a house right in town, and I'd never really thought about it before, but it's like maybe 4 streets over from the county jail. I mean, but that's on Main Street versus like in the little neighborhood.
When we were driving by that day, I couldn't believe like how close it was. And then I was like, Wesley, this is like perfect distance. If you're trying to escape, you start, you feel like you've gotten enough distance away and now you're like trying to get into a hiding place.
So in the middle of the night, like our dog Brutus, who does not bark during the night, like we're very blessed. He's not one of those kind of dogs that just barks over nothing at night. He does during the day, but not at night. And so he'd been put up for the night, and my husband at the time was traveling, so he was out of town. And Gabe, our youngest son, was upstairs, but we had window units, air conditioning units upstairs to keep it cool, so he couldn't hear anything. Like honestly, when I was trying to get his attention, I would either open his door and yell really loud, or I would bang a broom on the top of the ceiling just so he would know, hey, mom needs me. So, I mean, that's
Yeah.
how loud it was up there. So anyway, during the middle of the night, Brutus started going crazy, like just woke me up out of a deep sleep. And so I shot right up out of bed, and I heard like our front door had like a screen and then the main door. And so I heard somebody trying to get in. And
Wow.
instead of calling 911 immediately, which is what everyone should do, I had my phone in my hand ready to call in case they got inside. Like, just, I don't know. Anyway,
Yeah, that's a little
in
late.
my defense, I had been woken up. In my defense, I'd just woken up out of a deep sleep. That is only my only excuse for this. And so, didn't think anything about it, right? Whoever it was left. I did run. I ran and turned on the front porch light and ran back to my room. I did do that. But
Yeah.
I'm 99% by that time they were already gone. I mean, yeah. So anyway, I went back to bed, obviously didn't go back to sleep. And then the next day, do you remember, like, this is crazy, I'm asking you if you remember, but I wasn't even going to tell Mark. I mean, how did he even know? I think that, you tell me if this is how you've heard it before, right? Because some of the details I'm trying to remember. Paula, a cousin of Mark's, actually worked with the same company that he was working with at the time. And so she had heard, because she lived like a street over from us, that there had been a prisoner that had escaped the night before, and he had finally gotten re-caught, whatever, at a hotel that was very close to us. And I'm 99% sure once he told me that, then I told him my story. And he was so mad at me for not calling him when it happened. And I'm like, Mark, you were 6 hours away from me. Like, I was trying not to stress you out. And then Gabe got mad at me because I hadn't, like, told him. And I'm like, Gabe, I'm going to protect you. I'm the mom. And he's like, I am 17. I'm supposed to now protect you. So everybody was really mad at me. But it was a very dumb decision on my part not to call 911 immediately. But I'm one of those weirdos that's like, I don't want to bother the cops. Like, they've got enough going on. But now I'm like, they would have caught him probably 30 minutes to an hour sooner if I had said, hey, somebody's trying to get in my door.
You need to bother them. They need to come. Then bother them.
That'd be our lesson for the day. Bother the cops.
Yeah, if you have any doubt, call them. I can't believe you were waiting. That's so, I mean, you just woke up and these like kind of situations happen so quickly. You don't know what to do. But I can't believe you were waiting to call them until he got in.
I know. It's one of the dumbest times of my entire life. Like, just being honest, it is. And so always call the cops. That's our public service announcement. Yeah. Well, anyway, but enough about me. What's going on in your neck of the woods?
Well, you made me think of a story now because when I can't remember if we were dating, if we were engaged, or if this happened during, I think we were just dating or engaged at this point. But at Wesley's apartment, where like I moved into now, it was, and this is crazy too, I don't want to scare you, but it was during cold winter nighttime. This is why, okay. Wow. Where our apartment is, we're in Knoxville, so there is like a large homeless community like in our neck of the woods in our area. And one night we had like just locked up everything. Jethro had just come in from pottying. It was like we're getting ready to like settle in for the night. The door handle jiggled. Nothing like massive, like no banging on windows or anything like that. But the door was jiggling like someone was trying to get in. This is awful. But we had just gotten into a habit of making sure all the doors were locked because we had like a false sense of security here. Like, oh, no one comes into the backyard that way. But it was our back door. And someone had walked through the yard and like tried to get in, and we had just happened to lock it. Like Jethro was going crazy. It woke Wesley up from like wherever he was sleeping, and I was in here, and I watched it happen, and I said, I was freaking out, and it wasn't late.
The door jingle?
I saw the door jiggle. Yeah.
Oh my word.
Yeah. Yeah. And it wasn't like 1 or 2 in the morning. It was like 10 o'clock. Yeah.
Wow.
And I think it was, Wesley says it was someone like who was cold, like trying to get in, trying to see if there's like a place to stay or something, or see if they could like get shelter or whatever. But my dad has always said if someone is trying to break in like at night, they know that you're home. They don't have like good intentions, you know? Yeah. Yeah.
That's so scary. And just to clarify for the people, do you want to tell them who Jethro is?
Oh, yes. Jethro is our little English bulldog. Wesley got him as a gift for our first Valentine's Day together. Yeah. Our first Valentine's Day together, I got a puppy.
Aw.
Our second one, I got a ring.
Wow. You know what? I'm going to turn my side off
Okay.
and just see if that helps us communicate better.
Okay. We'll see how. For everyone listening or watching right now, sorry, we're figuring it out.
Yeah. Yeah. It's my internet lagging, and maybe we should have waited to do it another time, but we love talking to each other. So
Yeah,
switched
we're
it.
excited. So we're going to keep. Okay. Something I wanted to talk to you about that has changed, or not changed, but I've seen since the last time we talked was, have you seen what the prediction is for like 2025's new like aesthetic, like what everyone's going to be wearing, like the trend for the day, for the year?
I looked this up. That is so crazy you asked me this, because I looked it up and I didn't see anything. Like they were like, oh, everybody's going to be using organic beauty products. And I was
Oh.
like, well, yeah, I've been doing that forever. So that's not what you're talking about. You're talking about like fashion.
I'm talking about bows were really in like this past year, and I'm trying to think of what else. Like Sabrina Carpenter's like look, it was kind of like very, very girly, and that like translated a lot into like trends in fashion, or like the clean minimalist look, or like lounge wear, or stuff like athletic wear and like matching sets and stuff like that was in for this past couple of years. But everyone like on Pinterest, like Pinterest released this, like the company themselves, that this analytic was like everyone's searching this, everyone's looking for outfits like this, and now it's on like TikTok. I've seen it on Instagram. It's everywhere now, and it's the fisherman aesthetic.
The what? The fisherman?
The fisherman aesthetic. Yeah,
Like net?
like
Like what are we talking about?
like
Because I could actually
mainly.
get into some net. Like I'm being honest.
Well, it's like I should have sent you pictures of it. It's like cable knit sweat, like what you would imagine like a fisherman in like Norway or like the Netherlands or like Maine to be wearing. Like they're like one of the posts that I saw, and I wish I remembered the creator's name, but she was talking about like utility vests are going to be in, like wearing like fisher vests or toboggans and like heavy knit
Well,
cable sweaters, and unironically like waders, rain boots, rain jackets, and things with like lobsters on them.
Huh.
Or we're going to start seeing lots of like, oh gosh, what's the little fish that come in a can? What is that called? It's not tuna. Like they're like the whole fish.
sardines?
Sardines. Yes. Like Anthropologie.
Sardines.
No, maybe not Anthropologie. I can't
Yeah.
remember what store already has like a sardine themed like welcome mat. Kate Spade has a sardine like wallet chain that you put on your purse now that they're releasing in their new line. H&M, which is like known for like fast fashion, like trendy, stuff that they have in their stores, is releasing like these utility vests. Yeah. So I don't understand it. I am going to preemptively say I don't think this is one I can get into, but watch me here in a couple months be like, oh yeah, I'm all about this utility vest.
You know what? I think I was thinking when you first said it, I thought construction vest, which confused me. Like, hey, here, see me on the side of the
Like a
road.
bright neon.
But since you explained it more, I'm thinking it's almost going to be like cargo shorts in a vest, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I guess the pockets will
See,
finally get
I
pockets in
think you're
women's
actually
fashion.
going to be into that once you see it.
You might be right. I don't
Yeah,
know.
for sure.
I've seen people like put together outfits that are supposed to like fit this aesthetic, and there are some of them that like I can really get behind. Like I love rain boots and raincoats. I think that's like the hunter boots. I love those, but I don't know about like waders. I don't know that I could wear that on my Target run.
Yeah, that or a date night when you really think about it.
Really, Really.
But everything else, see, this is the thing. This is the thing, though. Maybe you're not, this is the way I normally like a trend. I don't like a head-to-toe trend, but like if you give me a cute cable knit sweater over, anything, but I'm thinking almost, I tried to look it up, but my internet is being too slow. What I'm picturing is almost like macrame in a sweater. So I might not be picturing the right thing, but I would be big time into that.
It's like, I'll have to send you a picture, and maybe I'll find some links that I'll put in the description of like other creators who have made like a compilation of what this is going to look like. But it's like one pattern over here kind of knit, and then a different pattern on this side in different ways. Honestly, what you imagine like your grandfather wearing to go fishing, Like
the
like
grandma sweaters are in too,
so it's, I think it's a trend that's going to come because it's all over Pinterest. Pinterest has released it as like being like their top search for January 2025 or something like that. And because of all like the TikTok creators like and influencers like gearing up for it. They're like, dig it out of your closet, start looking at Facebook Marketplace and Poshmark and your local Plato's Closet to start finding these pieces.
I remember you sending me that Target picture of, it wasn't the prairie dress because I said, thank goodness it's not the prairie dress. What was it?
What is was it the long jean skirt?
Yes. And I was like, because it has to do with my generation. There are just some things that remind me of things I'm not fond of. I'll just say that. And I'm like, I'm not getting into that. So maybe I'm just excited that it's not a long jean skirt. And I'm going to run out and find some waders. I don't know.
Yeah, at least like with waders, I feel like I could like use them as a function, like actually go fishing with them.
Yeah, since Wesley's into fishing now.
You know what? It works out perfectly for me.
Well, I was just thinking about the cute pictures that you and Wesley could have in the middle of the river with both of your waders on. Are you kidding me? That would be so cute.
We'll make it work. We'll make it work for our goals.
Yes.
Okay. When I was looking at this like trend though, like this fisherman aesthetic that's going to be coming up, I was so surprised to see, oh gosh, what was it now? The waders were surprising. The utility vests were surprising. Not Birkenstocks, because those have like kind of come and gone the past couple of years is like the height of the trend. Oh goodness, now I can't remember what it was. It was another creator who was talking about like, yes, like I think this is going to be the next trend, but let me break down what this actually is. This is just like casual winter wear, like toboggans and sweaters and boots. And I was like, oh, yeah, I guess you're right. This is not necessarily like, a new aesthetic. It's just bundling up for the winter.
Well, is there anything new under the sun, right? It does seem to have it. Everything seems to have its season. I'm not meaning that. Just really and truly. Right. Remember when I used to watch Project Runway? I've not watched it in a long, long time. But they would always be excited about something that looked new, like that was different, that they hadn't seen before. The worst thing in the world was if they were bored or found it boring. Yeah. And a lot of times I would be looking at it going, yeah, you may not have seen it before, but there's a reason we have never seen this before. It's awful.
Put that away. This was another thing that somebody said about it. It's not going to be like just like your outfits or like what you're wearing. It's going to be like a trend that we see in like accessories and like house goods and things like that. Like very like nautical, sea, just like everything that like goes with that. Like she showed like a picture of like a comb that like was shaped like a fish. And I talked about like those keychains or the bag chains from, oh goodness, what was it? Kate Spade and the rug from, I really think it was Anthropologie. Yeah. So it's going to be like a whole like a movement. Yeah.
I've heard that actually, like because someone was joking about going to not prison. What were they talking about? Anyway, it was on that new show Sold on Salt Lake City, and they were like, "Oh yeah, the prison stripes are in." And I've always like, you give me a black and white anything, and I'm into it.
Yes. I feel like all of my clothes, and part of it's because like I'm a wedding vendor. but like all of my clothes are like black or white. Like those are my two. I sometimes have jeans in there,
Yeah.
but maybe this will be like a wave of color. Maybe the fisherman aesthetic will bring color back, you know? I don't know.
Yeah. Sorry. Brutus is our dog, and he was whining like a awful person. So I ran
Oh,
and opened the door, but so you might hear him bring the podcast down. But have I told
yeah.
you he's not doing very well?
No. What's going on with
I'm
him?
sorry. I keep our crazy
Yeah.
internet. I am so sorry.
No.
He's just he's just showing his age. Let's just say that.
Oh.
So normally I would just leave him outside when he's whining, not outside, but outside this room. But I feel a little bad for him, so he got to come in.
Is his his medicine that he's on, is that still working for him? Is it like that kind of issue, like where his seizures are back?
Overall, not as bad, but he's had a couple of breakthrough seizures, and the doctor, anyway. Yeah, we're just kind of watching him. But
Yeah.
honestly, the second breakthrough seizure he had was, this is getting too sad. So after this, we're going to go back to fashion. But
I'm sorry.
we've taken the gutters off of our house. Yeah, we've taken the gutters off of our house because of, redoing the outside. And so all of this freezing rain was pouring straight down in front of the doorway. And so he had to go through that, to get inside. Yeah. So I'm like, if anyone is going to have a seizure, that's going to be the moment when freezing ice cold rain is on your back. But it was still awful. But anyway, okay, back to fashion.
Sorry.
So then we want a sardine purse, right?
Yeah.
And we want waders, and we want a utility vest.
Yeah, we want a utility vest. But you know what? The positive to that is maybe women's fashion will start including usable pockets.
So true. Very, very true. Yeah, because I don't think the sardine purse is going to carry a lot.
No, that's going to be like a very I think it's going to be a very dated, you know, trends will come and go, but you can kind of use pieces, other parts of it to make it style different. But a sardine purse is pretty much a statement.
Don't spend a lot of money on your sardine purse.
No, I was about to promote one of my favorite shops, but we probably should not.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah,
everybody's going to be like, what is it? What is it?
Yeah. We'll find out in later episodes because I'm sure I'll talk about it, inevitably. Oh, there was something else I found. I was literally scrolling TikTok last night and I was like, I need to show Melissa this. Okay, so you know how our last episode, we talked about some more, what is it called? More on the what is it called? Hippier things, more naturalistic kind of stuff, with essential oils and sound frequencies and stuff like that and how that affects us. Okay, so last night I was watching about how building and architecture literally affects your brain frequency, your brain waves in your brain and how it feels and your mood. Yes.
Huh.
Yeah.
Now, I have heard that if you point your bed to the north, that it helps you in some way, but that's the only thing I've ever heard like this. So tell me everything. This is so cool.
So we're going to talk about feng shui in a minute because I think it's really cool, which I think is what you're talking about, how you set up in your room makes you feel a different way or affects your sleep or some stuff like that. But what I found last night, it was talking about architecture makes you feel different moods, and it very when you're really stressed, and it affects your we've talked before about temperature affecting your vagus nerve, and so going in a place walking through a gas station's beer cooler room lets you cool down and it helps alleviate stress and alleviate bring down your cortisol levels when you're stressed out or anxious. But apparently the same thing happens when your brain views or sees a room or a building, or you're in a room or in a building with lots of curves in the architecture. And this girl, when I was watching the video, gets of reasons why and what it does, but I had never heard anything like that until I got on this little spot in my algorithm that was just showing me video after video of this.
Huh. Well, you want to go down a really crazy rabbit hole with this. I'm going to say something that we're not going to go way down, but I've recently exposed myself to agreeing with muscle testing to certain degrees. And, I actually go to a practitioner that I trust that uses muscle
Wait,
testing and all this kind of stuff. But he did tell me that
I'm sorry. You cut out for a minute and all I heard was I'm exposing myself. And I just wanted to give you a chance to, because it cut out on the recording.
that's hilarious. Yeah.
So,
I'm so sorry because it's trying to reconnect.
yeah, I can hear you now. Yeah.
Okay. I am so sorry. This crazy internet. Okay. Yes. I'm exposing myself. Period. No, I'm not. I've recently let you know, that's a better choice of words, that, I believe in muscle testing, depending on, the practitioner and whether you trust, and of course, your own self as well. And so,
Yeah.
this guy that I trust immensely, been going to for years and things like that, we have a lot of like real discussions about how there can be a lot of fakes out there and a lot of people that are just in it for the money. So you do have to be very careful. But he told me one time that if he or myself, while I was being muscle tested or was muscle testing myself, only thought of circles, then everything would be yes. But if I thought of squares or could, picture a square, then everything would be no. It's just because squares are not natural in nature,
What?
are not in nature normally.
Yeah, I've heard that like there's no right angles in nature, right?
Mm-hmm. So
That
it's
sounds
just interesting
silly
to
now.
think about that with architecture, like you were just talking about. What do you
Okay,
mean?
like about the right angles, is that, what did you hear? What did you say? What did you mean about? Yeah, I said May saying out loud like there's no right angles in nature. That sounds wrong. That doesn't sound right. Like I feel like there are right angles in nature. That sounds like a common thing that
Yeah.
we would find.
Yeah, but where? Like a
Don't know.
mountain?
I
That's
I
going
feel
to
like
be
there would
the
be one somewhere, but you're right. Like
right.
yeah, but
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah. There might
Okay,
be
well
a limb that has grown that way, to some degree.
that makes sense then about what this girl was saying that
Mm-hmm.
very like rigid straight lines in architecture like stresses you out and creates a like very rigid, what's it called? Not controversial, but like combative environment like for you to be in. And so like when you need like somewhere to relax, rooms with lots of curves in them is like settling. But that's crazy that okay, so what do you
Yeah.
mean by like the
But
answer will
how
be
in the
yes and the
world,
answer will
like
be
I
no?
work.
Sorry, you go ahead with what you were saying.
Well, say for example, well, no, I'll just say this sidebar, my family's in a construction business. And so if we start having all these calls for circular buildings, it's probably going to stress us out a little bit. But as far as like yes or no, like if you muscle test and you just say like this morning, hey, do I need some magnesium today? Right. I'm not going to get into like how to muscle test and all that. People can Google that. And again, please only go to trusted people and sources. But you are going to have a yes or no answer to that. And most of the time, my answer is yes to magnesium, as is most of the world. But he was just saying that, for example, if he is muscle testing me and I am just being combative, to use your word or whatever, I can be thinking of a square and can trick him and can trick my body into saying no to something that is really yes. Now, I've not really tested it. It's just something that he mentioned that I was like, oh, wow. So you mean these people that I've gone to in the past of where, I didn't really think I needed something, but they muscle tested and I did. They could have been thinking of a circle and could have made my body. So it gets very complicated and I don't know much about it. I'm just saying it's interesting to think about. That's just interesting to think about how that could all tie in.
I think I am more inclined to believe stuff, not like conspiracy, but like, actually conspiracy. I'm more inclined to believe like different theories or different like things that people talk about. If I can figure out like how the perpetrator, quote unquote, like benefits from it. Like if it's like money, if there's any kind of money driven thing, then absolutely I believe like, okay, whatever. Does that make any sense? Like, okay, your trusted guy that you're talking about telling you like, oh, if you're thinking of a square or a circle and you get this different response, I'm like, why would he tell you that? And like, how often are you thinking of squares and circles? But hearing you say that there are other providers that will, use any means necessary to maybe like get you to buy something else, then why not like, okay, throw in like, let's think about a circle and like see if that works, whatever it takes to get her to buy more. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If that makes
And
sense.
I mean, I'm not saying that I have proven that somebody was thinking of a circle,
Right.
like how can you do that? But when you have this feeling inside of you, when you have that like gut feeling that, or the Holy Spirit, however you want to put it, that you are getting this weird vibe off of or a distrust. Now, it's different. Say you're going to therapy and they're just telling you something you don't want to hear. Well, we know in our gut that they're not being, they're not doing that for their benefit. They're really telling us the truth for our benefit. That's not what we're talking about, right? We're talking about this gut thing that says there's something not right here and I need to back off and pray about it, or back off and just be like, no, I need to find someone else to help me with this. Yeah. And especially as women, I think we get into major trouble for not listening to what we would term red flags, right? We just get this little, we don't know what it is. I think that's why we convince ourselves we're not really getting that feeling, because we can't explain it, right? No, there's something not right here.
Yes, that is such a good way of putting it. I absolutely believe that God gives you intuition. Like, hey, this is not right. You need to get out of here. Whatever level that is. Like, I absolutely believe that feeling somebody's intention, even though you might not be able to like verbally describe why something is wrong. And if you're feeling that, and you get out of that situation and you're like, oh, well, nothing even happened. I'm overreacting. Maybe something would have happened if you had stayed in that situation. And that's like from anything from, friends who are
exactly,
oh, I feel like my friend is lying, or I feel like, this is an unnecessarily flirty situation kind of thing. But like, and, you might not be able to describe like exactly like what he or she said to like your spouse, or what he or she said, or how your spouse reacted. Like, oh, I can't tell what was going on there, but something, is not right. And that, I think it's an absolute, it can be a safety thing. It can be a well-being. It can be like a getting yourself in or out of a toxic situation kind of thing. I think it permeates a lot of areas of life.
I know we need to be wrapping up, but I would love, you've made me remember this study that I was told about, and then I looked up on my own because I could not believe it was true. And anybody can get on. I wished that I could remember the guy's name. He was a Japanese scientist, and he did this study years and years ago about emotions and how they affect us, and intuition, all that. It covers all of that. And, we are made of a huge percent of our body is water. Right. And so he had people to look at a jar, a container of water, and they would think of someone that they loved, and he would freeze that water. And then, of course, he would have people to think of this horrible thing that had happened to them and have hate in their heart. And he did this with all these different kinds of emotions. And he put them, in the freezer. And there are pictures online what the ice crystals look like that when the person thought of love, and they're beautiful. And when they thought of hate, they're awful. Like they're broken and just so awful. And he said, what you can gather from that is that what we know as humans, when someone is looking at us with an emotion, we know that to the core of our being. And so it's just an incredible study. And it's visual proof of what we can feel.
Yeah. I would normally, I'm going to be honest with you, okay? I would normally think, okay, that sounds crazy, but I really just like,
I know,
within the past month, I've seen, okay, first off, I think it's important to not dismiss things just because because I think a lot of our world is a very spiritual world. Yeah. And I think just because we can't see it doesn't mean that what we feel does not have like a physical, that sounds wild and insane, but that's what I believe. As in, like, you get a feeling that there's a present. Oh my gosh, I sound crazy. You get feelings, and I think spiritual warfare is very real. Yeah, you know what? yeah, I think spiritual warfare is very real.
Yeah.
And I think that just because we can't always see it doesn't mean it's not there or going on or happening. I think, yeah.
Absolutely.
And I think there are some people who are gifted and have discernment and can see that and when that's going on versus when it's just like, our own human nature being whatever. But yes, I do believe humans are very, very much spiritual and physical people and beings. But going back to the water, and water has memory and that it like can feel I don't know exactly everything, but I have seen TikTok videos and Instagram videos and people like posting about it about the study that you're talking about. And then also with the dreams and water. Have you seen that?
No. What is that?
So it talks about how people, they leave this. It's not the Japanese man or scientist. It was a woman who was doing this, and I can't remember the name, but it did sound like it was of an Asian descent kind of name when she said that she was like going off of the study. And I'm gonna try and link it in the description. But it was this woman talking about how she did a study where she would leave a glass of like a new glass of water out beside her bedside table. Whenever she had a dream, she would record it, and she would freeze that water. And she did this like all kinds of like throughout a different month. Just like having that water ready in case she had a dream that she remembered whenever she woke up. She would freeze that water, and then she would freeze that water for her nightmares as well. And like you were talking about with like the love or the anger or the hate or like good emotions versus like quote unquote bad emotions, she like would see different, like you could like under microscopic, whatever, you could see different patterns in the water from her dreams. You want to get a little crazy.
Yeah. Wow. Huh. I don't know. Do you, what is your feeling off of this woman? Like we talked about that a little bit in the other pods about how, we shouldn't be scared of things, but yet we should be like, use our spiritual intuition to know who to follow and what to do. So does she give you bad vibes? Is it just interesting? What do you think?
It's interesting. I don't think she gives me bad vibes as much as I was intrigued about what she was doing with this. And I'm going to say that I'm not necessarily saying like the water's like reading her mind and knows what she's dreaming about, but I think her dreams or her nightmares, she had emotions that even though she wasn't like conscious for them, still that emotion and that, I don't have a better word besides energy for it, but that emotion and that energy, like the water still like she was in the room and the water picked up on, even though she wasn't like conscious. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. So I
know.
I have not.
Just the word energy like carries this weird connotation. But even if we switched it to like frequency or whatever, but we need to take that word back because it's fine. But it does make us sound like woohoos, and I know that's what you're worried about.
No, we've got
this
a little
is a
crazy
group
on this
text with
episode.
friends, so we can say whatever we want.
We are just besties yapping, so we can say what we're going to say, and it's going to sound a little crazy. I think that's all we have for today. So don't forget to like and subscribe, share the podcast. Thank you so much for listening. It really means a lot to both of us. We'll catch you next week for the next episode.
Yes, it does. Bye-bye.